What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into my channel. Let's get right into it. As you saw in the title of the video, we're talking about cruising out of Galveston, Texas. What I'm going to discuss in this video is where to stay, what to expect, how far it is from other cities, and things like that. So let's not take any more time. Let's get right into it. So I got some notes I'm going to be looking down at. First off, where is Galveston? So Galveston is probably about an hour drive from Houston, Texas. So if you're flying into Houston to catch your cruise, you can do a couple of different things. You can actually stay in Houston, which may be cheaper to actually get a hotel, and then take an Uber or a taxi from Houston to Galveston. Or, of course, you can just drive directly to Galveston if you want. Alright, so now let's talk about how you're getting to Galveston. So if you're flying, there's really no flights that I'm aware of that will take you into Galveston. So it's going to be a surrounding an airport that's going to be close by. And the closest one by is Houston. Houston International or Houston Hobby. You can actually fly into either one of those and then take a taxi or an Uber or a Lyft, something like that, to Galveston. Now, if you're going to be doing that, here's some things to keep in mind. You'll always want to allow yourself at least 1 day lead wait time. Flying in the day before. You never know what's going to happen with a flight cancellation, weather, any type of delay, mechanics, whatever it may be. So allow yourself plenty of time. So again, if you're flying in Houston International or Houston Hobby, those are the two airports. To take a cab, if you rent a car or however you get to Galveston, the drive is roughly about an hour. So it's about an hour away, give or take 10 minutes. All right, so now the other way is if you live locally. So let's say, when I mean locally, let's say you live in the state of Texas, or if you live in Houston, or if you live in, let's say, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, or maybe even somewhere like Shreveport, Louisiana. All those, it may be cheaper just to actually drive. If you have a lot of people, it's definitely going to be cheaper to drive. I live in Dallas, Fort Worth area. Out of Dallas, Fort Worth, to do the drive down to Houston was about 4 hours. So not too bad. It wasn't one of these drives where you just feel like completely zonked out and tired once you get there. You leave early enough in the morning, get to Houston in a decent time, be able to spend the afternoon walking around, things like that. So the drive isn't terribly bad. The next morning, we then drove from Houston to Galveston. Again, that's about an hour drive. So if you fly in, it's going to be about an hour drive, or if you just drive in and stay in Houston, it's going to also be about an hour drive. Now let's talk about where to stay. Do you want to stay in Houston or do you want to stay in Galveston? They both have their ups and they both have their downs. So let's talk about that. We'll start off with Houston. When I went, we stayed actually in Houston. We did not go down to Galveston until the day of the cruise. We just drove down there. It was about an hour away. But if you want to go to Galveston, I understand 100%. Here's some of the benefits of staying in Houston. Generally, if you're staying in Houston, you're going to have access to cheaper hotels, same class rating. So let's say you want to stay in a 4-star hotel in Houston. We stayed in I believe it was the Hyatt or the Hilton. It was the Hilton. We stayed in a 4-star hotel that was by the Galleria, and it was under $100. So not terribly bad. Now, the flip side of that, had we driven down to Galveston the day before and stayed in a 4-star in Galveston, because the ocean's there, you're going to be paying significantly more, 2 to 3 times more than that. So kind of keep that in mind. We were getting 2 rooms because we had 8 of us that were going, and so we were trying to be as considerate. I was trying to be as considerate with other people that were going as far as cost and things like that. So something to keep in mind there. Houston will be cheaper to actually stay in to get a hotel. Also, you're going to have probably a few more food options around Houston than what you would in Galveston. Just because it's a bigger city. Makes sense. Now, you may be thinking, man, you're trashing on Galveston, but I'm just telling you the positives of staying in Houston. Let's talk about the positives of staying in Galveston. You're right there. You have the ocean right in front of you. There's this little kind of strip that you can walk down. There's restaurants, there's things like that. So there's some entertainment that you can take a part of. Better nightlife activities, I would imagine. And like I say, you're just right there by the cruise port. You could practically walk to the cruise port. Also, if you're staying in Galveston, a lot of the hotels will offer shuttle service directly to the port the next day. That's extremely convenient. You're not having to get up early and do an hour drive from out of Houston, so that could be an option just to stay in Galveston as well. So anyway, those are some of the ups and those are some of the things to kind of consider once you're booking your hotel in Houston or Galveston the night before. All right, what's around? So whether you're staying in Galveston, whether you're staying in Houston, there's going to be plenty of restaurants. There's going to be, the Walmart or the Target. I'm not sure if there's a Target in Galveston. I know there's a Walmart. In Houston, there for sure is a Target. But if you need to go to either one of those places to get the last minute thing that you may have forgotten, whatever it may be, a toothbrush or a toothpaste, something like that, you're going to have access to do that in Galveston and in Houston. Again, Houston, it's going to have a few more restaurants, a bigger city, Galleria, things like that. So if you're driving in or flying in the day or two before, you'll be able to access that. Galveston, of course, has the beach. They have their little park areas and things like that. That's in Galveston. So something to kind of consider once you're looking for things to do the day before the cruise. All right, here is the biggest piece of advice I have for you. If you are driving to Galveston, plan to do this right now. If you have a cruise that is leaving in 3 days, or if you have a cruise that is leaving in a year from now, plan this part right now. And that is, find a place to park your car. We used a place called Easy Cruise Parking out of Galveston. I believe we paid, ours was a 4-day cruise, and I think we paid like $10 a day. That is almost 2 blocks away from the cruise port. We could actually see the cruise ships, and we just parked our car. It's gated. They have barbed wire around the fences. There's a ton of cars in there that people are doing the same thing. They'll give you a little tag. You can book this early in advance. They're going to give you a little printout that they'll send you an email that you'll print out, of course, that you'll take that with you. Do this in advance. If it's not Easy Cruise Parking, there's other parking places that are around, but definitely do this in advance. And here's why. When we went down there, I saw all these little parking places that said reservations only, lot full, reservations only. You do not want to be spending 2 hours driving around trying to figure out where you're going to park your car. So please do that in advance. It makes it go so much quicker. I know it's a pain to be paying $50-$60 to $70 to park your car if you're taking a 5 to 7 day cruise out of Galveston, but you don't want to be paying even more than that by not booking in advance and finding the place that will do it. Again, the place that I used was called Easy Cruise Parking. I believe that's it. But they also have an option for a shuttle. So if you have some people in your group that's elderly, or if you just have a lot of people and say, hey, it's going to be easier just to take a shuttle, they have a shuttle. It's probably going to be a 4-minute shuttle ride. It is super close. We just chose to walk. We were at the cruise port in no time. So that's something I would encourage you to definitely check out, look into, find a place to park your car. Now, some hotels will allow you to leave your car, and they'll offer you the shuttle service. So if you're getting a hotel in Galveston, double check that. Make sure they offer that. Here's the negative side of doing that. I've heard of people having their cars broken into at the hotel while they're on cruise. That's not a fun experience. Typically, one of these prepaid parking places, it's all gated. It's closed off. So the only people that are coming in to those areas are people with a ticket or picking up their car, things like that. So kind of keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's going to happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't. I hope everything goes beautifully smooth. And I'm sure there's tons and tons of people that have had no problem. In fact, I know there are. But that's just something to kind of consider. That was something that I considered as well. I was like, you know what? I don't want to take a chance. And I'm sure other people are like, you know what, Mike, you're blowing this out of proportion. There's something wrong. Anyway, those are the tips and things that I feel like you should know. If you're cruising out of Galveston, we went on Royal Caribbean. They have other cruise lines out of there as well. Disney's out of there. Carnival's out of there. I think 1 or 2 others are out of there. But it's not going to be as beautiful per se as cruising out of Vancouver, British Columbia. That's phenomenal. Those are on the Alaskan cruises, and That's probably one of the most beautiful ports stateside that you can cruise out of. It's kind of industrious once you pull out, but of course that's only for about 10 minutes, and that's kind of neat looking as well, because you see all the ships coming in, stuff like that, and how that stuff is done as you're cruising by. But overall, pretty smooth experience cruising out of Galveston, and we were actually looking at doing another one out of Galveston. Guys, thanks for tuning in. And lastly, I am posting videos on how to book cheap flights. If you're interested, check out my channel. Please consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Take care. Bye.